to say that, are you going to roll this back? Like, are you going to use this law on people that are already here? Or it is people that are just coming in? And the Home Office Secretary refused. She was very tactical about answering that question, because if she answers that question and she says she's going to take it back to people that already have skilled worker visa, it will roll in a huge wave of court cases. It will be like something that is not precedented before. And that's why we tell people, if you are still on the 5-year route, stay calm, carry on doing what you are doing. If you are in post-study work visa, try and see if you can get a skilled worker visa before the 10-year route law kicks in. But as they said, they are still consulting. A lot of it will take a while. But there are some that they can change straight away, like the care worker visa. That one, they will easily be able to change that with the immigration rule. You saw what they did with dependent. It was just one straight announcement and it was closed. So those are the kind of things we need to understand. It is not panic mode. It is to clearly understand what the rules are, and then you know how to navigate your way around it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Tohib. I think let me address the issue of, I think the one that's going to quite frankly come into force, and if you look at that white paper, you will know is there, is recruitment from abroad, skilled workers from abroad is more or less a done deal. Number will be surprised if it's going to be more than June. But if it's going to be more than June, it won't be more than October. That road is closed. I think there is also a compelling case for that, because there are already skilled workers, for example, in the critical health and care sector that are here, and something, probably one or two things happen to their sponsor, and there is this pool that they will have to take from. I think skilled worker from abroad is closed. Now, there is also the argument that if you want to employ from abroad, you have to show us that you are investing, or you have invested in training local workforce. That's also going to be a condition. Many of you, if you go back, you will know what we call the UK market specification and European market specification before you employ from non-European country. There was a time where for you to employ from abroad, you must show that nobody in the UK can qualify for that particular role, or is competent to work in that particular role. And you have to show within Europe before you go outside of the EU to employ. So I think when they marshal out those rules and enforce them. And remember, if you look at Scotland, is already blowing hot. Scotland is saying we are not part of this, madness, because we need immigrants, we need students, we need care workers. So somehow Wales is also going to, fall within that line, because of course everybody think that they are taking over the UK, but UK involves Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and this particular part, I am of the view that if the government does not back down in certain critical part of these new changes, it may trigger the independent debate for Scotland. I am of the view, and the government will be very careful so that that argument doesn't come forward, because Scotland has always said we want to be able to decide who comes to us, because we need these people, we need foreign students in our school, we need foreign workers in our healthcare and health and care sector. So when they are marshalling out this rule, of course, they will also consult those other governments and see what they say. So it's early days. Again, I still employ people to be calm and see. Let's see what's on paper. There are many arguments, but I think let me say something. The Labour government is a bit reasonable than the Conservative government. The Conservative government can be very unreasonable when they take certain steps. As I think the Labour government, Keir Starmer is quite frankly, he was a prosecutor. We all know that, and then the team around him are Most of the team around his base are the Blairites. If you if you are in the UK, I know the Blairites. What is her name? Mrs. Ball, which is the Home Secretary, is a Blairite. You know all those arguments, those people drafting out those legislation. And if you've been in the UK, you know what there is in terms of pro-immigrant, pro-workers, and then pro-human right. Thank you.
It is the people that have stayed long in the UK that will know that Yvette Cooper is Mrs. Balls.
Yes, that's true. They are definitely Blairites. I think one of the lords was doing an interview earlier in the week, and he was talking about, oh, the blue label is well and alive. And I was like, yeah, of course the blue label has always been there. It's just that everybody always have their own chances when it comes to vote. So either the left will go, or the centrists will go, or the blue label. So the blue label and the centrists, and they all almost have the same idea, unfortunately. And I always say about when you're voting, is about choosing your poison. Will you choose the one that will kill you slow, or the one that will just shoot you point blank? It's just as simple as that. Once you understand the way the UK politics works, then you are able to navigate it. Good evening, Tosin. How are you? Do you have any question?
Yeah, I have a question for the barrister. That someone dropped for me. What is the difference between recruiting internationally and recruiting internally? So, like you said just now, that probably from June, I mean, there's going to be a stop on recruiting from abroad. Does that affect also recruiting from the UK and giving such individual COS? Is that applicable to that? So that is the first question. Then the second question is for those who are students, many of who are still in school now, because news like this, whether you want them to be patient or not, whether you want them to be calm or not, news like this can throw them off balance, off even their mental health. So, what kind of word of encouragement or advice, or I don't know, I mean, what are the things you can say to students who are presently in school, who are looking forward to a post-study work or a COS, and how do they, manage their expectations, and how do they put their plans in perspective? That is my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Tosin. So the first thing about recruiting from abroad and recruiting international, if you look at it, is actually, it's very evident in the type of certificate of sponsorship that's being used. There's a certificate of sponsorship to bring workers from abroad, and there's a certificate of sponsorship to bring workers internally. Now, the government, and I know this because if you've heard about the pool, the government is very keen to ensure that you recruit people who are already in the UK. And I think the first point is that recruit people who are already in the sector. Probably, they want to switch within the sector, or they want to, maybe the company that they're working lost the license or something. So it's very easy. Or people from, switching into the health and care sector. So the recruiting within the country is different from recruiting from abroad. So my point is that the people that are, companies will find it difficult to recruit from abroad, but not from, from within the country. So in terms of student, I think I pointed out that if students, came into the UK with their dependent, it's my best advice that their dependent don't wait and say, let look for a way to switch first. The dependent can switch while the student completed. As soon as the student switch, unless of course in extreme cases, the student too can also try graduate visa. But I'm of the view that personally, I think the graduate visa is it's it's one of the areas that they could just say, well, if you study finish you go back, or if you switch into the graduate visa you don't have to, you can't switch. The post study work, which it used to be, but if you finish your 2 years post-study work before, you have to go back to your country when they change it. But now they allow people to cross over to skill work visas. So I think we all know it's been reduced from 24 months to 18 months, right? I wrote about it. It's been reduced from 24 months to 18 months. So student who, I tried not to panic because the rules that came into force, I think early this year or late last year, you can't switch without completing your course. Complete your course, because if you do not complete your course, again, public policy consideration may cut up with you. So complete your course. But if you have a dependent, let your dependent switch to that sector that will keep you people a little bit one food, solid food within the 5 years route until we see what the rules are. But let's, for now, that's what I think. So recruiting from abroad, I think that one is clear at the moment. Thank you.
All right. My last question is, what are your advices for people around upskilling and towards the part of not just staying at the point where they are, but upskill wherever sector that they are to always get better? How does that help improve their chances around their stay? Yeah. Thank you.
Now, remember again, if you read the white paper and you also hear the prime minister talk, you see we need to train people that are already here, the workforce. So if you are in a particular sector and you want to secure your position there, or to ensure that you have more opportunity for the company to retain you or give you COS and continue to sponsor you, or be competitive to move from that particular company to the other one, then you need to take the necessary training in that sector. So here's the thing. Um, let's not mix it up. Health and care work, which I think this government or last government is picking on, it's not really a low job. I can do it because I think people who do that job are blessed. They are special people. The only problem with the UK is that this particular job is not well remunerated, right? And then because it's not well remunerated, the government, I think due to politics, they are seeing it as if it's a low job. It's not. I think there was a time I had a friend that was recruited from the US to come and do the work. As at that time, I think probably around 2011 or 2012, something like that area. And they were paying that person almost around that time 39 to 40,000 pounds because they were unable to recruit them from Africa. So I think they just lowered the thing. So that's a critical job. But if you are in that healthcare sector, which is um, care and support, I think take some training. So even in that role, you are good at it. You can be a manager. You can be, technically competent. I know most of our people do their masters and then just go to the healthcare sector because it's basic. But even in that care sector, you can be good at it. So take some basic training, and I think most local authorities do have this training. Try to get the free one if you're in the trust to get someone. If you are private, because with these new rules, you will see company now rolling out training programs. So take advantage of those training programs because it will give you an edge when push comes to shove. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Baron. So in order for people to be able to ask the question, I'm going to put time for 2 minutes for you to be able to ask your questions. Please keep in mind, if anyone has you know asked any previous questions, please let's not repeat the same question. Thank you very much. So I think is Lawana.
It's law analog.
Oh, okay.
Good
Yeah.
evening. Good
Go on.
evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Byron. Thank you for this educative section, and may God bless your wealth of knowledge. Mine is this. When I listened to the PM, I paid very close attention to what he was saying. He was specific about um, the care worker being knocked off, and he was also specific when he spoke about the dependent aspect of English. He made mention in his words, I quote, that all the sectors, all the routes, their dependents needs to have a certain level of English score. So when it came to the part of the ILR, it wasn't specific. That's my own observation about that statement of ease. And like one of our speakers rightly mentioned, they were supposed to be thinking about the illegal routes. UK being what it is, rather than leave what they should do, they're moving down to the legal people. So for like I keep telling most of my colleagues in the office, everybody should calm down, watch out. Because the young ones that are still in school are worried. What would happen to them? Do they want to use 10-year routes to keep most of them in the care sector? That's number one. But I really want to like pick from your knowledge. What do you think about that? How would you want us to advise many of there are many that are troubled right now. Please, let's just see if there's a way you can just expatiate to give some people a safe havens.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So here's the thing: if you are due for indefinite leave to remain or you are qualified for British citizen, you will see that you have to do life in the UK test if you have a first degree or above. Now that's the rule, the current rule. So if you do not have life in the if you don't have a first degree qualification or above, or what we call the RQF level 6 and above, then you have to do the English language requirement. So from what I see the prime minister is, and what I take from it, or what I deduce as someone who understands how these things work and so on, is that once you have raised that requirement from ordinarily B2 or whatever they call it, below RQ6, and you put it above RQ6, it's no longer necessary when it is due for indefinite leave to remain or British citizen. So all you're going to be talking at that time is what do we call it, life in the UK test. So there's a possibility that then they'll put this strict English language requirement for dependent on health and care sector workers, because of course some of the dependents don't have, they do the basic English or elites or whatever we call it below RQ F level 6, so they want it to go up. If you go up automatically, if you are due for indefinite leave to remain or British citizen, you no longer need that qualification. So in terms of, if I understand people who are worried now, if your dependent is just there, haven't done those training, maybe they should now consider to look for a way to get those appropriate English language requirement. Until we see the papers, we need to see where there will be waiver, right? Even where these rules are applicable for people coming in force. Remember, at indefinite leave to remain towards British citizenship, they will have to write those English language tests and then life in the UK test. Those two requirements must be met as at that time. I remember one of my friend tried that and had to go write those tests and so on and so forth. So for now, again, is really whatever we're saying now is just deducing from experience of previous rules or how the government has done this thing. I think everybody should calm down. When the rules are out there, martial out quite. Hello? When the rules, so you panicked me there. When the rules are quite clearly martial out and we now have clear immigration rules, then we can now have to start looking at. Remember that even where those rules are enacted and clear immigration rule, there's also what we call caseworkers guide, which will tell us exactly how caseworkers will apply these rules and so on and so forth. So for now, again, what I employ everybody to come, we've just seen the white papers. Some of them will be knee-jerk reaction from the. See, here is the thing that I want everybody to take to the bank. It will be practically impossible for the government to get rid of health and care workers. It's not possible because somebody is going to do those jobs, and I can tell you that Brit will not do it. I can tell you for free, you know. And even most of our people that have lived here long would not be willing to do it, though. So if you're not going to do it, somebody is going to take care of those old people. And I think it will be very. I mean, of course, there is the chairman of. I think something care has already started blowing hot that most care homes will close because nobody is doing this work, and that business is going on. That if you say you want to drive the economy to success, closing health and care sector is businesses is not one of the things that will work in your favor. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Baron. Um, I've put you on the tier earlier. I said they probably just start to they need to start learning how to use the hoist, because what's going to happen is when those care homes close down, then the waiting list we are going to have for being able to get someone into a care home will probably be 5 years plus if care is not taken. But we will get there when that time is here. Um, Dada, are you there? Can you keep your question under 2 minutes? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I don't have any question to ask. I just wanted to appreciate the speakers, and I wanted to just chip in something that I've always been saying. And I find this as an opportunity to reiterate what I've always said. This is the time where Nigerians in this country need to unite together to build a very strong and formidable community, strong to the point where we can be able to place demands. If we are strong enough and we are doing the right thing in this country, MPs will come to you when they want to run for election. All of them will come to you and you can place your demands. Even back home in Nigeria, those politicians and all those people, they will get to a point that they will need you because they see that you have a vibrant community. And we can use that opportunity to place demands of things that we want them to do in our country, such that that country is better for everyone. It is not in our place to come here and use the platform that God has given us. We've been able to come to this country to use it to be throwing tantrums back to the country, or attacking ourselves here, or scamming ourselves here, or feasting on ourselves. This is the time where we need to get rid of classism, right? And put all our hands together. I have been saying these things. Some of these things are happening now. I predicted them 2 years ago. And I don't want to be a prophet of doom because I can tell you what is going to happen in few years to come. Everything you see that they are doing today is political. Keir Starmer is my guy, is someone that we really like here. But the problem is this: he's fighting for his political life, him and his people, because Nigel Farage, Kemi Badenoch are not making things easy for him. If you look at some of these things that they have put in their policies today, go and check. Some of them were extracts from Kemi Badenoch's template that she released for the Conservative Party. Some of these things that they're talking about are part of the things that Nigeria Farage has been talking about. And if for those of us that really work with these people 247, that we know them, that we relate with them, all of them are crying and singing the praise of Reform Party, knowing fully well if those guys take over in this country, they will run this country down. But this is not the day for talking about things like this, and this is not the place for it. But my point is this: number one, Nigerian students that are still in school, please don't allow this thing to throw you off balance. Because I remember there was a year, I think 2 years ago, where they brought some policies Many of these people started running helter skelter, and they ran into the hands of people that were COS scammers. I beg you in the name of Almighty God, relax yourself, calm down. Can I shock you? You know the people that will make money the most important people in times like this are immigration lawyers. I've always told Nigerians, go and work hard and save money. When the push gets to shove, just go and seek the service of an immigration lawyer. They will always show you. In every policy, there are always gray areas. And I'm talking from experience. There are always gray areas. There are always blind spots that can be used to make a case for yourself. Just please don't be illegal. Don't do anything wrong. Do the right thing, work normally, save money for rainy day. But don't be scared. Don't panic. Don't buy COS. Don't do anything that you will regret after some time. More importantly, please, I beg you, NIUK, NLUK, all the so-called communities, Toyib, Rayo, and the team, let us work together. Let's break all those barriers that is dividing us. All those rubbish political things we talk about for back home, religious tribalism. Let's put an end to those things. Let's start building strong, formidable forces. Look, I can give you so many ideas. For example, let's look at this together. If you look at care, child care business, it is categorized in between. There's so many gray areas. It is categorized in between healthcare sector and education sector. Of which, if you get a COS, for example, from this sector, you do not need to have that salary threshold of 30 whatever thousand they're talking about. Yeah. So what if 5, 6, 4 Nigerians come together and start a childcare business? And that same company will be used to sponsor everybody in that business. Also, the global talent visa is not affected, is not impacted by this new policy. We can still continue to groom our people on how to properly apply and pass this global talent visa. Because the global talent visa, we have two categories. There's one that you can get 3 years, there's one that you can get 5 years. And like I have said, I don't want to talk much. I just want to drop, but I just want to beg us. There are so many updates that we can share. Also, please, our content creators, content creator, please, let's keep our mouths shut. You can do other things on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. You can do funny. Stop talking about, hey, I have update. Shut your mouth. Most of these policies that you see these people doing, there are things that they get from algorithm. They go to Google, type, and they get all the information that you spread. Please, we can give ourselves updates. I've always said to people, this our WhatsApp and Twitter community is good for us to share general knowledge. But there are some kind of updates that we will share. We need to put them on close-end groups, private groups like WhatsApp and all those kind of things. That's why people like me, I have my own WhatsApp group. Oh, I'm telling you the truth. Me, I know they lie. And they share updates. But there are things that I can't say on a space. I can't put it on I don't want anybody to be incriminated or anything to happen. Please, let's resolve our issues. Let's take all these fights away. Let's take all this rubbish, all these things we do. Let's work as one. Because when we have a strong, formidable force and we have a strong voice, these people will come begging. Then that time, you will make demands and it will be legitimate. All right. Thank you very much. Are you the mic?
Thank you so much for that word of encouragement. Thank you so much. Well done. Yeah, go on, Baron. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I do agree with the gentleman who just spoke now. And importantly, I think I've not touched on this, but let me give you people. There was a time in this country that the Philippine care workers made demands. How many of you were aware they made demands because the UK government was pulling them from pillar to post, and then they make this. I think most of them even moved countries and so on, and it shaped the health and care sector. So yes, I do agree that people who are working within this sector could come together. If you say we are not going to work today in 24 hours or in 48 hours, the sector will feel that impact, and then you can now start making claim. We are very important. We are strategic players to ensure that the NHS is not overburdened, and I think you people need to give us some respect. And I will not say I don't expect that from our people. Something more important, and I want those people who are students to take care of this. I do know that, and as I said, if I say things about immigration and I say I'm going to succeed in this case, 9 times out of 10, I look at the rule and I believe I'm going to maneuver. Even though caseworkers who say, well, caseworkers could challenge it. That's not a problem. I can go on administrative review, and my arguments are always very fair. But this is the thing. I know that I've succeeded before to get a graduate visa for some from people who did not successfully complete their course. That's who did not score, achieve that grade that is on their cast. But please, 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 I do not see that road opening anytime soon, especially as the prime minister or the white paper is talking about the brightest and the best, the talents. So if you are studying masters, ensure that you pass. You successfully. Remember, there are two phrases. There is a completed your course and successfully completed your course. So completing your course is that when you've completed your course, you could make postgraduate certificate, you could make postgraduate diploma, but successfully completed your course for which you were granted the CAS or the student visa, is that qualification that's on that student visa is what you successfully completed the master. So students should ensure that they don't get any distraction and ensure that they score up, they meet the adequate qualification so that it will be easy for them to switch. Because I see them shorting that area, say if you did not successfully complete your course, you may not be able to switch. So student, take note. If you were playing around the course, if I have certificate or graduate diploma, I can switch. Please, it's time now to sit up and ensure you pass that master's that you came to study. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Baron. Soft life for La Yomi. Yeah, are you there?
Yeah, yeah. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. So mine is simple. Yeah, I just need some clarification on this. So, I was actually talking to a family friend earlier, and he said something similar happened in 2006 thereabouts, where they had to kind of like extend the years to ILR from 3 years to 5 years, and immediately that came into effect. It kind of like affected everyone thereabouts. So I would like to ask Baron if it's actually, I mean, if this was true then or something. So yeah, that's actually my question.
Yes, of course. I think I've tweeted about it. In 2002, when I came into this country, you will have to spend only 2 years to indefinite leave to remain. Again, as I said, it's Mrs. May, when she was the Home Secretary, that she changed it in 2006 to these 5 years. In May, it's in 2 years before indefinite leave to remain, that 1 year. So he changed it. The argument is at that time, of course, I stand to be corrected, it was not retrospective. It was from the point where that came into force. Now, I think I take the argument that come on board that some people who were already there, you know, already in the 2 years to settlement, then they put it 5 years. But I know that I did a lot of cases where people who were in that 2 years route actually still had their indefinite leave to remain and their British passport when the new rule was already enforced and is applicable. I know a family member that I did. So it's only when we can make this argument, and our judges are different when it comes to exploring those arguments. When this rule, you know, we are clear about the rules, and when it will come into force and the people that are affected, then we have to start to look at the arguments to which to formulate. many of you are aware, even the rules that came into force early this year haven't been challenged in court already. I'm expecting that the code 6135 and code 6135, that's immigration paragraph 29 1A and paragraph 39 or 35 1, are to be challenged in court. But what the Home Office do now is that, you cannot just go challenge this rule in court until you've gone through administrative review. Now, Home Office have devised a method of stalling that administrative review rather than making a decision so we can progress. So some of these rules are not being challenged in court yet. So let's just wait. When the rule come in, there are definitely going to be some people affected, and then those people will look at how to seek redress in court. One thing that I like about UK is judicial power. We have judicial review, we have appeal, we have this. There are matters that will end up at the Supreme Court because before we have final decisions on them. Article 3 was challenged. The decision is Razga. We have Article 8, the right of citizenship, and so children was challenged. And then we had Zechi, Tanzania out of that. There's Katuga, where, you want to separate family, where that has already established because of our immigration rule. There's also, we have Huang. We have a lot of cases that has been a challenge of immigration rule. Even we have cases in visit visa where people challenged it and then succeeded. So when the rules are out, then we now look at areas that we can challenge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Baron. The next person will be, is it Shimi? Shemi? I don't know. Sorry.
Uh, yeah,
Kemi
Chemi.
or
Yeah,
the other Arab.
yeah.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. So I think my question is in two parts. So I was going through the doc.
Oh, so we are giving 2 minute
Yeah,
minimum,
yeah.
I
I
mean,
think I just need 30
maximum to
seconds to ask
everybody.
the question, anyways.
Yeah, can you, yeah, please keep your question
Yeah,
to
very
one
brief.
so
Yeah.
it's easier to just move to the
Yeah,
next
sure,
person.
absolutely.
Thank you.
So, the first part of the question is: so I was going through the so-called increase in salary threshold. Currently it's 38,700. According to Kemi, she said, I was listening to one of our interviews today, and she said that Kestama came in and removed that salary threshold, and I don't think that happened because that's still applicable. And if you read that policy document, they said they're going to increase it. Are they still going to increase it from 38,700? And I'm wondering to where, because I don't know how many people, especially outside London, earn above 38,700 in the first place. And then secondly, considering that qualification level is going to be RQF 6 and above, those discounts, I know the discounts for immigration labor immigration labor list will be removed. Um, yeah, and then but there's no mention about the early starters or the new entrance route that had several discounts. So there's a lot of confusion in that area, but I don't know if anybody has a better understanding of it because I was reading through it. I had to read through it like 3 times and I didn't see there was no mention of it. It's those the PhD, the new entrance level that covers 26 years, and if you're on a graduate visa or if you have a PhD and you get like 70% of your going rate, there was no mention of it because that part has a discount. And if there's any information, what kind of salary threshold that should we be expecting? Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. In terms of where politicians lie everywhere, so it's not the politicians are there to score points and them, but these policies are people's real life situation. So I know you can assess it, but Kemi can see what she thinks will make conservative voters or reform voters look at her as the person who will close the border. Well, conservative government just left power last year. They didn't close the border. So it's not Kemi that is going to close the border. Another thing that I want us to do, even reform and not close British border. I made this argument when the country went around, enforcing forcing English to everybody. You don't do those things and think people will leave your country alone. Can they be serious for once? Because they went about colonizing all these countries and then expecting them, you stay on your own. No, that's not how it works. But let's look at the salary structure. This argument is around health and care. You know that because when the salary was increased, health and care sector support workers, healthcare workers received a discount. There was a discount, in which case, if you have 25,000, you can pay your worker 25,000. You can sponsor a worker 25,000. So the argument is that they are going to take it back to 38,000. Well, dreams are dreaming. If we all, make all the millions that we dream, we'll all be billionaires. We won't be here again. Now, the question, critical question, is how health any company is going to pay 38,000 to support workers. Because remember also that most of this money comes from the government. I hope you all know that some of these health and care sectors, probably from their pension or from government. How is it possible to pay health care support to 38,000? We are yet to see that. Yeah, again, it goes back to the argument that some companies will close. So let's let them come through with it. They are the one that's going to make this salary, and then if company don't employ, again, these old people are not getting young. So somehow miraculously 80 years old lady or 90 years old man is not going to turn 50 years because Kestama want to stop healthcare workers. So that's not possible though. So we have to be real, and when they are marshalling out these rules, they will look at the practicality, facing them and decide what to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I think what I like about this country is that the charity organization, immediately they release that white paper today, they will be on their back like something else. And that's one thing I like, because even some of the things in there, if it's too humane, of course, like you said, it's going to probably end up in Supreme Court. So, and I'm sure the government will not want that for themselves. um I think the next person is Bishop. Yeah, thank you.
Hello. Hi, guys. Hi, Uncle Baron. It's been a while. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Olomo. Hi, everyone. Um, Mazi, I see you. Thank you guys for hosting this space. So, my question, I don't know if it's been asked or if it's been answered before I came on. Well, my question will be the whole white paper. First of all, is there any practical or a timeline for this law coming into effect? That's number one. And number two, people who are already in the UK, like people who are already in the UK for 3 years, 4 years. Because I was speaking to someone today, he said she said when you come into the UK, the law or the immigration law is like a contract between yourself and the UK government. So, and then from history, she has seen that most UK laws are only apply to those who will come in from when the law, has takes effect. But I want to, get it from a professional, and I think Baron is, doing a good job at that. Please, does this rule affect those already on the immigration part? Now, when I say immigration part, okay, someone who has a COS, okay, and then is working, paying tax, okay, and then has dependents. Does this rule apply to them? And also the last my last my last question or suggestion would be, most times these guys, they once they implement this law, you see, and they know that we will talk, we will hold spaces, but most of them are even here listening to us. So I would think we should, as Nigeria, I don't think English is our lingua franca. I think our lingua franca are pidgin. You understand? So sometimes when we host such sensitive spaces, it go good make we switch to pidgin. You understand? Something that would bring that exclusivity. You understand? And exclude other people from listening, or understanding what we are saying. So if we can host it when we have sensitive issues like this, if we feel host them for pidgin, you understand what we feel talk. I know most of them might be able to grasp one word or the other, because English is pidgin is an adulterated English, you understand. So I think we should do that more often, and it would be good, because mm, social media influencers might, most of them might go out and say the wrong thing, and put the wrong idea on people's mind. But when you come here and people can relate to us how we speak in Nigeria, it really go a long way. Thank you for giving me the time. I really appreciate it. Thank you, host.
Okay, so let's start with the first question about when rule come into force or who these rules will affect. Now, but before I try to put a timeline, I want us to look at the more recent rules that was enforced. Remember, the rule about a dependent not allowed in code 6135 and 6136. Now, the white paper of that rule came in last year, last 2 years, right? That's in 2023, I think, was when it came into force. And then they put it, I think, in two step. Some came into force in October last year, and then October last 2 years, and then the other one came into force in March last year, right? So if you look at that rule, they say those who are already or who were already skilled workers before the new rule came into force, those rules are not applicable. So those people can switch with their dependents and so on and so forth, right? And then in the practicality, applicability of the rule, they say even where you are not on a skilled work route visa route, but you've been working 3 months to when that rule came into force, you could switch with your dependents. That's as far as the immigration rule is concerned. Now, but we are making argument. Yes, of course, as at that time when the rules was enacted and people were saying it's applicable to everybody. I know a colleague who said the rule is the rule. Yes, the rule is the rules. But when the rule, we need to check if our rules are in conflict with all the laws. So when people like us look at those rules, they are in conflict with all the laws. There are also the Home Office residual discretion under section 3.1 of the 3.2 of the Immigration Act, to which the Home Office can look at if a situation, if the rules does not allow, but the situation is compassionate, compelling, and exceptional. The requirement is that they should grant rule. They should consider if we cannot grant this application under the rules, can we grant outside of the rules? That's what we call the residual discretion, Home Office residual discretion under the Act. So when these where we can challenge the rule, but I do not see a circumstances where this rule will have retrospective effect. Retrospective effect. I think the rules are going to be now we have the white paper, they'll marshal it out, then they'll release the rules probably in October and say these rules are going to take effect from April next year. So, and then when we have that, we know people who are going to be affected and people who are not going to be affected. And then whether those people who are going to be affected, if they have protections in other laws. Okay, thank you. So those are what I think I do. What was the other question? Have I addressed the questions?
Yes, my boss. You've addressed it. The other
Okay.
one was The other one was I said when we're having sensitive issues like this discuss, I
Mm.
think we should do it. We should suppose one for pidgin language. I know most of us
Mm.
have spent a long time
Well,
here.
that one is for the host.
Yeah, for
If
the
it's
whole.
in
So
pidgin, I probably will struggle, but I will try if we have
no,
those
you go
situations.
struggle.
But
You go struggle because British English
it's
is not
all right.
commodity for
Thank
your
you.
mouth, but it's fine. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Thank you for the suggestion. I think we have to go and polish our pigeon. So yeah, I will try. Abi, Mr. Taib, are you polishing your pigeon?
I be Lagos boy now. Pigeon no too hard for me like that.
Ah, okay. So there was a time I type on the tier and everybody was
Ah,
laughing at me.
what
So
you they use pigeon do? You plenty yafu yafu.
you
Pidgin na
see,
water normally now. That one
Uh-huh.
na small
you
thing.
see, you see. Okay,
We go
okay, no
try our
problem.
best.
Okay, no problem. I guess you have to polish a bit more. Yeah, I mean, I think it does make sense. But then if you're thinking about, I think I'm thinking about the whole translator thing. So even when it comes to Google itself, it does do all those things now. So yeah, but the suggestion is actually a good idea. Yeah. Good evening, BB. Go on with your question. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Rayubib. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, Mr. Baron. Thank you for hosting this. Is a privilege. We appreciate your effort. I'll just go quickly. One of the things I just want to highlight is something one of the speakers said earlier. I would just want to advise everyone right now to be very careful with the steps they take, and I'm saying this from experience. The experience I'm saying this from is that I think I left Nigeria, 11 years ago to South Africa, and it got to a point whereby South Africa also, because I think they adopted a lot of United Kingdom's immigration policy and all of that. So at first, when I was there, I had a work permit and all of that. And all of a sudden, they started changing laws, and it affected a whole lot of things. It affected me also. That I used to have a work permit, I ended up not having a permit. So that I remember there was a time I tweeted that I stayed. When I only came to the UK 2 years ago, and I spent almost more than 10 years in South Africa. And someone did ask me, does the country doesn't allow you to have a permanent residence? I said they do, but unfortunately, when the law changes, and at some point you got to a point that you got stuck, there's nothing you could do, and you end up being an illegal immigrant. So it was so difficult until I moved to the UK. So in anything we do, like someone have suggested earlier, please don't buy fake COS, don't do anything illegal that will complicate matters for you. If you are maybe before your visa runs out, speak to lawyers and all of that. Because by the time you get to that point where you get stuck, maybe your visa have already been destroyed, or you've become, because at some point I got prohibited because I've overstayed and I was there and I couldn't go back home to Nigeria and all of that. So that's just my advice to everyone. Please be careful. Thank you. And then secondly, I want to ask the barrister, is it advisable? Because one thing is, for me, I'm on the 5 year route skill work visa on 6135. And that was when before they, increased the threshold. So, and I have a dependent on me, but the dependent couldn't join me now on the 5 year route. So she switched for the post-study visa because she was the main applicant when I came in. So because then when I came in, I had to do 5 years and I had to pay for 5 years and all of that. Was a lot for me with the school fees and all of that. So we went for the post-study visa. So now I'm thinking now, will I have a problem if she have to switch back, to switch to the 5 year with me now, be my dependent, or would there be any complicated issues, during the application? So I'm just asking this. I'm throwing this to the barrister. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Hello, BB. Thank you. I think that my position on this matter, it's very clear, and I think I've communicated it. I said the rule 6135 say dependent are not allowed. But my argument has always been, and I've succeeded in quite a considerable number of them, is that I find it difficult looking at other legislations, our other laws, that the Home Office or the immigration rule consider somebody to be a partner for somebody before they came into the UK. So the immigration rule accepted this person as a dependent, right? Or accepted you as a family unit. And somewhere in between, the rules now start to discriminate against your dependent or your partner. Now, the interpretation, the legal interpretation is that, well, if your dependent cannot see their own certificate of sponsorship or do not have any other means to stay in the UK, they should just pack their bag and go home. I do not think that the UK law that I know, I studied and I practiced in this country can ever accommodate that. It can, Home Office could make all sorts of argument and all sorts of reasons for their refusal. When push come to shove, these arguments will be very clear, and how it is. So families who come in together to have no issue whatsoever applying to be together. Yeah, Home Office could refuse it, but that's why you have an administrative review. That's actually how why you have, you know, go to court. I know that there are people who think, it's quick fix. Everybody is quick fix. If everybody was doing quick fix, certain laws that we use to make these arguments in this country wouldn't have been there. So I was expecting that a group of people would have come together to challenge those rules and so on and so forth. But, so my advice to you, your dependent could apply. Be prepared that it could be refused and you go an administrative review because you have a right to family life. And that particular right is based on statute. Also, you have a right not to be discriminated. So, among all skill work visas or category, why would they single out care and healthcare care support and care manager? Why would they do that? Those are the arguments. So you single out a category of people and discriminate against them. Again, it's an immigration rule. It hasn't faced legal scrutiny. We just succeeded in one today. I'm also believing that for the ones that, the Home Office refused, we've had a lot of success in making those applications for family that don't have children. Family who have children is more or less a done deal, to be honest, of course, unless where people want to be safe. But for family without children, I still believe that refusing that decision is unlawful. Refusing the application of the dependent of a skilled worker in the UK, it's unlawful. It doesn't make sense. If you look at it, a graduate visa holder who is going to spend just 2 years in the country will have their dependent approved. But then a skilled work visa holder who is working in the critical healthcare sector for 5 years will have the dependent application refused. It will never make sense to me. I don't know how other immigration lawyer sees it, but it doesn't make sense to me. And I've reasoned it front and back, and I just thought, when the conservative drafted these policies, they just thought they were joking. I think they were joking because it doesn't make sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Taib, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure you're there.
I'm
I
still
think the
here.
next person speaking is Aisha. Hello, Aisha. How are you?
Hello, yeah, good evening, everyone. My question is regarding this statement. Mr. Barron said that before employer would employ anyone, they would have to show that before they would sponsor anyone, they will have to show that they've invested in the local workforce. So, does this apply to graduate visa holder? So, does that mean that before they will offer sponsorship for someone, they will need to consider if they will need to show evidence that they've actually tried to employ somebody locally, and they will have to like provide evidence that they've invested locally in people, because I just believe that the employer will still have to pay immigration skill charge per year, and this immigration skill charge is used to train and hire domestic workers as well. So I don't know how that is, because for the employer now, and I'm not talking of the health and care visa, I'm talking of the normal work. So they will need to like show evidence that they've tried to recruit someone internally, and they will need to like provide evidence that they are um they are providing more like the training for the local workforce. Thank you.
I think, thank you, Aisha. I think what the Prime Minister linked recruitment of foreign workers with training of local workers. I think you will see in the rules, the requirement will be if you want to employ maybe one foreign worker or two foreign worker, you have to be training maybe 1 for 1 or 2 for 1, okay, or 2 for 2. There may be something about apprentice or proper training. So again, so these things are very funny, and I like the way the prime minister put it. White papers are white paper, but when it comes to practicality, so if you look at the company that's not making a lot, right? How does that company want to? How will that company be training local workforce, right? So, do you want to again remember that health and care, or most skilled workers are regulated sectors. They have to have professionals. So if I'm running a health, let me use support worker, that a company that's I have only 2 people or 3 people that I'm sending. You're saying that I should employ people that I will train, that I have to pay to train them. So the whole thing is not really clear, and the practicality of it is, quite frankly, difficult. For big companies like KUK, yes, of course, they may introduce apprenticeship and a whole lot of things, but for smaller company, there will be some sort of waiver, in my opinion. That's my personal opinion. Let nobody quote. That's what I said. That's what is going to happen. Now, let's see the rules. But I do also like local training, train local people. So I think local people can do this job. There was a time that everybody thought that in the constructions, the British people thought that Eastern Europeans was taking over their job. Well, Eastern European left, and those work those jobs, nobody's taking them. You understand? So your job is there. You don't want to take it, so somebody have to take it. So I do not. For now, let's just take it that we need to see these details, but there will be a need for companies to train local staffs. Now, if you go back, as I said, there was a time that they have this UK market requirement and the European market requirement. You must satisfy these 2 requirements before you can employ from abroad. So I see such a thing coming in force. You want to employ from abroad? How many people are you training in your workforce? So if you say 2, okay, we are going to give you permission to bring one from abroad. Remember, when you are making those application or requesting for an increase in your COS numbers, that's when Home Office will flex their muscle where you are. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Baron. So just for everyone to note that we are going to finish the space at 10 o'clock. Yes. The next person to speak will be Toyosi. Yeah, Toyosi, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah. Okay. So I have these two. One is an observation and another one is a question to Baron. Okay, so I'm on a skilled worker visa in the education sector, and my wife is still on her graduate visa. Now she has a master's degree here in the UK, and if perhaps I wait till this policy is implemented, the section in the white paper, the aspect that says all adult dependents, for whatever visa you want to apply for, one of the criteria is that you have to sit for a language test, kind of equivalent to A level or something like that. So I feel it's not really fair to ask somebody who has a master's degree here in the UK, the English speaking country, to also now sit for the language test. Although, like you said, Baron, we should still wait for the details and see if what the waivers will look like. So that is just one aspect. The second one is if one decides not to renew his child's visa for to be dependent, and you just decide to wait for the child to live in this country for 7 years and then apply for citizenship. Are there any implications to that kind of a step? Thank you.
Okay, the first question is whether somebody who have a UK master's degree will be required to write an English language test. No. Even now, if you want to apply for a skilled work visa and you have a UK qualification or Nigerian first degree that is RQF 6, you just uh, compare it via ECCTIS and it will be accepted. So it's the same thing. If you have a UK master's qualification, you will not be required to write English language. I do not see the possibility of that. Now, in terms of children born in the UK, what I have noticed recently, before you may not apply, and the home office will not bother. They will give you and your family and say, the children. But recent application, home office is actually making those requests. They will even ask. Now, remember that a child born in the UK has 3 months, especially in England, and 3 months free NHS, and then in Scotland, So, but now what I've noticed, and it's been consistent, is the Home Office will say, we know that you have stated you have a child here. Can you tell us when you will make the application? Or confirm if you've made the application. If you haven't, tell us when. In one of the cases, I thought, well, I've always, if home office is going by right, I'm going by left because my war with them is only going to end in heaven. So I wrote and I said, no, well, the child is just born. They have 3 months free NHS. Of course, they are not willing to apply. The home office held the application for a long time. And then the family just thought, you know what? Let's just put in the application. So there is no restrictions to a child born in the UK. There's no requirement that that child must make an application in school. But here's the thing: in England and Wales, the child after 3 months does not have access to free NHS. In Scotland, they may be. And I have a situation where a family did know. They use each other. I think they are asking that family almost £9,000 in the time that the young child used NHS after 3 months. So these are all the complexity around that area. But if you succeed in keeping your child, whether the child apply as a dependent or not, if that child is 7 years or 10 years, a child has born in the UK, can apply for British citizens. That's what the law says. So I do not think it's a problem. But Home Office now make those requests specifically. They will write. I have even somebody who sent me a similar letter just I think yesterday or today, where Home Office saying, we can see that you have added that you have a child. Can you tell us if you've made the application? If you have made the application, please let's have the UAN number. If you haven't, please tell us when you will make the application. And if you do not make that application, there's more, there's a possibility that the main application will not be decided. So Home Office is, they are, they have a lot of tricks up their sleeves these days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Baron. I think our last question for the day will be Godwin. Godwin, please make it short and simple. Thank you.
Hiya. Good evening, everybody. Firstly, I thank everybody for this opportunity that arise for us to be able to ask questions, and especially to is it Barrister Baron? You've been so helpful this evening. I thank you all for your contributions so far. My questions, like they said, they make it quickly. Mine is currently I am due for ILR by March next year, and this whole immigration paragraph have been so like I've been so down since morning because of the impact that it might have on us. So my I don't know if anyone have answered asked the question before, but I apologize if that's so. When I listened to the parliament debate today, the home secretary didn't want to answer exactly when from the whole changes or the plans on the white paper is going to kick off from. Barrister, with your knowledge, do you think there's a particular reason why she doesn't want to say exactly when these are going to take effect? And what might likely be the reason? And from your own assessment and experience, when do you think these plans in the white paper might take off?
Okay, first before I answer, I want to thank the organizers of this space. In particular, SK was on my Oluomo and SK. They were on my DM trying to see if I can make out time today. I wish to spend more time, but unfortunately, I cannot because of work, and I work full time. So I have to deal with this thing. But let's get to the